Hello, hello, hello. I hope your Wednesday is going well.
Wade, we are live on YouTube as well, so whenever you're ready.
I am ready. Hey guys, today I'm going to talk about objections and rebuttals and see if you guys have any that maybe I'm not going to talk about today. But let's just kind of jump right into it. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can. I gotta share my screen. Sorry about that, guys. All right. Everybody see this?
Yes, we do.
Okay, I'm going to talk to you about five of the top client objections that we get on a daily basis, and that you're probably going to receive as well. But these are what we're told when we call them, and we have to go over certain things with them. And I'll go over all that in just a moment with what we talk about. But here are some of the objections. First, the one that we hear most often is, "What is the interest rate? Your price is high. What is the interest rate?" Well, this is a very common objection, and what we do is, first of all, we tell them, number one, we're not a bank. We don't offer interest-based funding. These are all revenue-based funding with factor rates. What that means is this: we loan you $10,000. You're going to pay back anywhere from 11.9 all the way up to 14.9 if your credit is really so bad that we probably shouldn't loan you money for a pack of cheese crackers. And yet we're going to be able to get you funding. So with us from day one exactly what you're going to pay back versus these long-term interest deals that have compounding interest. And I mean, have you ever looked at your mortgage and you see it when you pay it back, you paid a whole lot more than you thought you were going to pay. But with us, it's real straightforward. We go over exactly what you're going to pay back. So you will be able to expect anywhere from a 1.19 to a 1.49 if it's really a bad file. So that's how we go over it with them. And when we get through, they understand. It's always helpful if that is already discussed when you're talking to your client. When I'm out in the field, or if I run across someone that wants to get funding, and I had one recently, I talked to them up front and said, "Listen, we're not a bank. If you can go to the bank, that's where you need to go and get your funding." But we're finding that 90% of the business out there can't even go to a bank and get funding. And it's not because their credit's bad, it's because their scores are a little bit low, only because they signed their name as a business entrepreneur to everything. And you compile a lot of debt to get started in business. So we don't hold that against you. So that is one of the top ones that we talk about. And to us, it's the simplest one to overcome. After when we call them and they may say, "I don't think we need this," well, that kind of suggests to us it's a lack of perceived need. So you need to demonstrate how your solution solves the problem. That's what we have to do. We address all the pain points in the offer for the client. Now, sometimes the problem really is that we get the application, we look at it, and we know up front there's going to be an issue because they're doing 25,000 a month and they're looking for 150,000 funding. Well, that means that when the broker initially spoke to them, it just didn't click with them, or it was just forgotten about and wasn't spoken about with the client. And we explained to them at this point, listen, what we do, we're going to give you anywhere from as low as 50% of what you're doing monthly, all the way up to 200% of what you're doing in monthly revenue. We're totally revenue-based funding. And I say that over and over and over to everybody I'm talking to. We're revenue-based funding. But we start off on the really bad side of things because of the fact that the client thinks that they can get 150,000 when they're doing 25,000 a month. or they may say, I need to speak with my wife, for example, before I make this decision, or my business partner. This is more of a stall tactic than anything, and politely we're going to acknowledge that their need for internal discussion, and say, yeah, we get it. Can we get them on the phone right now? We want to try to understand what the key decision makers are thinking. Do they even know about this? And a lot of times it will be that the person who owns the business doesn't really own 100%. And they do have partners, and they put it in the application incorrectly, on the application incorrectly. I've never heard of your company. This is a very simple one to go through. Say, man, uh, and by the way, this emphasizes, I think, or indicates, I should say, a lack of trust. So we kind of need to build that with them. We talk about all the 5-star ratings we got with Trustpilot. Go on the internet. You're going to see David Allen Capital everywhere, along with Bank Breezy. There's nothing negative to find about it, and we help them establish that trust. But that again should be done when you're out there talking to the client. You're going over the program, who David Allen Capital is, who David Rutz is, who David Allen Capital seeks to help, and we look at small business people like rock stars. And then some of them will say, just send me the information and I'm gonna look at it. This again is a stall tactic, or more than anything, they're shopping the deal. They want us to send it, and I'm not going to send any. I'll send the offer, but they're going to talk to me at least about what are you looking for? What is it that this offer is missing? What did we not produce for you in this offer? And the bottom line is, almost all the time, it's going to be the fact that they're shopping the deal, and usually, not every time, but a lot of times, it's going to be the broker themselves that is shopping it all over the place. And that's not what we're looking for in our brokers. We want to come to us because we're going to get them the best deal out there. Here are some of the things that we're going to talk to them about when we're providing our offers. Just so you know, the very first thing that we talk about is we got to express excitement. We start by really being enthusiastic about what the offer is. For example, we're going to say, man, I'm excited to share with you. We received a great funding offer for your business. I think that's where it all begins. And then we personalize the message. We reference to their specific needs and goals for needing the funding, and that's why it's important that that you talk to them about what their need is. And we want to talk to them. Hey, you're going to use this for a payroll? What is it? Then we clearly state what the amount that we can qualify for them, and it's anywhere from 50% to 200% of the revenue that's coming in. We're going to go over the repayment structure in detail, what the factor rates mean, the speed of funding that we're going to be able to get them the funding today in their bank account so that they can make a decision. All the flexibility of about the repayments, whether it's weekly or daily, and why those are so important to them. We're going to talk to them about no collateral. That's huge. A lot of companies out there. We had a construction company a couple of years ago in Oklahoma that literally had a $750,000 need for their business, and the bank gave them the money. But the wives, there were 3 of them, would not sign the agreement and put the houses up. And that's a real problem with small business people going to, they want to put everything into it, but you can't put your home up for grabs in case something does go wrong. You don't ever expect it to happen, but it could. So they went with us and paid a higher rate with some prepayment discounts, and they were happy to do that. We want to go through all the transparency about fees and cost of funds. We don't want any oops on there. And not a lot of our, some of our lender partners started out not giving us what the lender fee or closing fee is. But I want you, hold on one second, hey, David, I'm doing my Zoom. I just thought it was you. I wasn't going to, I went ahead to. All right. I started telling that was David. I started telling him, "Why aren't you on the Zoom?" I'm just teasing, guys. So anyway, so we're gonna provide a lot of transparencies. We're gonna compare what we're doing to all the alternatives that are out there. We're gonna encourage questions. We're gonna invite them to get engaged with us. And then we're gonna tell them what the next steps are and how we're gonna get this thing funded and let them know that we're gonna be there to support them throughout the entire process. And even afterwards, we're gonna do that. And then this is the point that we ask about Bank Breezy Connect Cash. That's something that makes us different than everybody else out there. All I need, the questions about the offers, all I need to do to have the funds wired into your account today is to order the funding paperwork to be sent to your email inbox for your electronic signature. And once you electronically sign, we're going to send you a bank verification link to complete. We're going to be verifying a couple of things. Number one, we're going to verify that you're positive in your bank account. We're not going to find any bank account that's negative. Guys, we do this because sometimes they are negative. So I'll go ahead and get them to be positive, at least whatever that daily or weekly payment is in their account. We verify that they haven't accepted additional funding. See, this is what the 9th, I guess, of April. We don't know what they've done up to this point, and that's why bank verification is important. We can see if whether or not they've taken funding. That just happened this morning where they took a really bad offer too from a competitor, and we could have done better. And I could, and we were going to try to fund it, but now I can't fund it. Everything's out of whack. The underwriter gave that offer without even knowing that we were. I mean, that they had taken funding. Remember, the offers go out before the bank verification is done. Then after the bank verification, we're going to call them. We're going to go over what they signed, and then we're going to wire the funds. It's really that simple. It's that fast. Um, I, I just wanted to let me just stop and pause. So, does anybody have any questions that they run into that they don't know how to overcome? Or let me say it another way, so you don't feel embarrassed to ask it. Are there anything that's common out there that I haven't spoken about that you guys run into on a daily basis that you would like some help on? Ask now. Anything about funding? There's only about 4 or 5 questions that you're going to run into, and almost all of them have to do with people shopping or just not understanding or the process, or the third one is really misunderstanding what they think they could qualify for. So when we get a deal that we've given these incredible offers this week to some people that are looking for $1 million, and we can only get them 550,000, which is still 170% of what they're doing monthly, and that's not good enough because their expectations were way up. I have a lot of people that come back to us wanting us to move forward their funding because they've done all this shopping, and sometimes it's just too late. The deal is dead, and now we have to start all the way back over through the process. So I see we got one hand up with McGuire.
Yeah, I just wanted to drop something in that I mean, I know I personally have heard from time to time, and I think would be great for, just the average agent to have in their toolbox for as far as a rebuttal. But obviously, banks are, the other option involved when we're talking to clients. So there's really just what makes the most sense, what could benefit them most. Um, so when if we're talking to a client and they say, so what would be, the biggest benefit for me doing a shorter term, funding option rather than stretching it out with the bank? I've said different things in the past, but I just wanted to get your expert, opinion on that sort of rebuttal to a client, being that banks are really the main other option in this case.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. If they can go to the bank, they're going to get them. They're going to be able to settle one issue of cost today. In other words, I don't mean the cost of funds. I mean what the payment costs are. Sometimes, and I tell folks, there's 3 reasons you don't go to a bank. Number one, you don't want to put up the collateral. Number two, you don't want this term to be 3 or 4 or 5 years. You want to get this done with and that those I mean those are big issues that they have. And then of course with a bank, you got to provide all these financials. Heck, we're asking you for very little. We're giving you a reasonable time to pay it back where it won't affect your business. And that is the biggest thing, McGuire, they're concerned about is I take this fund, this money. How's that going to affect that those daily or weekly payments going to affect what my cash flow is? And sometimes they really have to take it because of emergencies and that sort of thing. But all in all, we're not going to make offers they're going to put them in a worse position than they were before they met us. So when the underwriters look at this, they look at what your debt to income ratio of what you're paying out is. So if you're already paying out about 35% for debt, we're probably going to not be able to do anything for you that's going to make you happy because the risk on these are so high, and sometimes people have such terrible things in their background of mismanagement of money that it becomes impossible to get them the dollar. I mean, the payback in a term that they think that would really help them. I have so many times had people that said, all I want is $10,000, but I need a year to pay it back. When nobody in their right mind and funding is going to give you a year. Though I had just offered 44 weeks on 10,000, I shouldn't say that, which is only about 60 some dollars a day that's coming out of their account. Did that answer your question, McGuire?
It did, yeah. Obviously that's just comparing it to banks, but sometimes people, knowing that they can't get bank funding, they just have, inclinations about just the short term of it. So I always say, it's better to just kind of have it behind you and taken care of rather than dragging out, which interest can come into play, things like that. So I think you answered it perfectly. That's comparing it to banks, but sometimes it's just, why should I do this with this short of a term? And so I think you answered that enough
Well,
to where
99% of the people that apply can't get a bank loan.
exactly
And
right.
that's
So I wanted
that.
to make
So
sure.
yeah, that's just the way it is. I mean, if they can go to I tell them if they're going to argue with me about a bank or have a combative situation in conversation with me, I'm going to tell them they need to go to that bank and get the money. They've already been to the bank. The bank would have given them the money. They would not be with us if the bank had given them the money.
Right. And I think the only reason I brought the bank up is that's obviously what people think they know, the best. They feel like they have experience with banking funding. So knowing that they can't get it, it's just new for them to have a shorter term. So having a rebuttal for that, knowing they're not going to go to the bank, so there's no other option, but getting them comfortable with that shorter term amount and kind of explaining it in a way that's like, this at least gets you back in good standings as soon as possible, rather than dragging it out and, hoping you don't make payments and things like that.
Yeah. I very seldom have issues with people that can already go to a bank because they've already done it. I just don't have too many files of where someone is comparing me to a bank that approved them. So just keep that in mind as well. I think we got another. Go ahead, McGuire. You're going to say something.
Nope, you're good. Sorry, I accidentally hit mute or unmute.
Thanks. All right, we got Matthew.
Yes, we have Matthew, and then we have two questions in the chat I can fire off after.
Okay.
Really quick questions, but Matt, go ahead.
Good morning, DAC family. Wade Cordell getting pumped up here. This is what we have to do, and you know this, Wade. It's, get your cat. I tell people I have to do this. You have to do this when approaching the clients. This sets the table because all of these things he listed are things that are avoidable and they're easily dealt with up front, and it's your responsibility to do it. So I have to get my head around this. Don't ever presume what that's the client, they see as value in the tool we're offering them. Okay, it's a tool. Money's a tool. It's nothing more. It's going to take them from where they are now, where they want to be, or they don't need it. And so need awareness is that thing. I used to sell things. Everybody knows about sales, but number one is they have the process of need awareness. They've got to know they either have a need for it, they don't. They do. Then you can go forward. You don't want to push this on them if they don't need it. So Need awareness. If they know it, they'll tell you when you hit your bullet points, and they'll hear something and they'll ask you, okay, so what are the rates? I've done this before, training, right, Wade? And it was like, they ask you about what the rates are while you've made your points. That means they need you now or soon. They're not going to ask you that because they're an accountant and they're doing an actuary. They're just trying to save face, put up their little front like, well, okay, what are the rates? One of those expensive MCAs or a hard money, whatever, anything relating to that. You're going to help them explore the use of their funds by asking them what they're depositing and setting the right expectations right here. Okay, so what are you doing a month in the deposits? Oh, no, I'm doing 50,000. Whatever the number is, you just throw it back at them. If you had that 50 grand in your bank in, let's say, 2 or 3 days, would you have a good use for it? And would it help your business? Gene, you built, ding, 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 ding. The bell goes off. You're like, fuck yeah, I was just they're gonna start telling you what they need the money for. Now, if they don't need you. This is a method. I'm just giving you a little trick here, a little secret. That helps you and helps them determine whether or not they need your money. Once they need your money or they need this tool, everything else is irrelevant because the value of their use of the funds exceeds any rate or cost or all of that BS. And if they could get it from the bank, you know what? They probably would have done it already. So let me just get to the end of this credibility. So I wrote one more thing down. It's better to set those accurate expectations, when they ask you, well, the rates, well, I don't really need that money. Go to your bank. What is it, 18, 12%, anything? If they get into the woods with you, just say, have you tried your bank? As Wade said, no. Well, you should, because it's going to be cheaper, ... unless you can't wait. That is the key. Your competitive advantage over the bank is that you're going to get them funding in days. The bank's going to take 3, 4 to 6 weeks to see, give us more paperwork, give us you know what, we want to look at your profit and loss statement, blah, 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 blah. We want to see profitability. No. Their opportunity is gone. It's gone. They can't jump on it. So there's the reason, the need awareness. It's a big circle. If you can get your head around that, study it, think about what I just said. I'd have to do it myself. I wrote it down. I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm missing. And get back to that, helping them see, well, first of all, you're telling me to go to the bank. Well, that's pretty credible. You're not selling me. No, I'm trying to help you. That revelation moment, boom, when they see, you're not trying to sell me. No, I want to help you, but you shouldn't try them first because it's probably going to be cheaper unless you can't wait. They can't wait. What does that cost them? So the value of losing that opportunity outweighs any rate or cost or blah, blah, blah. They need you, and you're the solution. Hey, I just want to let you know, if or when you do need funding quickly, I'm your best option. Here's my website. Have a blessed day. Move on. And that's it. I have to throw it out, man. That's it.
Thank you, man. Really appreciate it. And guys, if everybody worked on the premise that Nick and Matthew work on, and I use them a lot because they're not out knocking on doors. They're not available. They're in Argentina, but they talk to people. They understand creating the need, because a phone call is a tough way to when you're doing cold calls, to build your business versus a warm market. But when they're out there talking, it just comes out so naturally for them to qualify these people, create the need, and let the people know how special this funding is, because the cost of not being able to get funding is way more costly than the cost of the funds when you get funded. All right, I think that's everybody. I really appreciate it. I think you had a couple questions, Morgan.
Yes, a few things that you might want to touch on in the chat. So one question is, I heard about an 18-month no interest loan with 660 plus credit score. Is this something we can offer in the business?
David answered that yesterday. I've never heard of 18 months no interest. They do that on client financing, but let me make sure you understand. On client financing, that simply means that the person taking the interest hit is the chiropractor. I mean, I know that because my chiropractor, or any business person that accepts that kind of funding for people, they have to eat the interest. But we don't have any. I don't know anybody truly in this industry. It's all bait and switch. I don't know anybody that has anything like that. Now, we have a 12-month 100% prepayment discount. We've got a $250,000 one now that all the paperwork's in her email once she gets through with patients to sign, and it's automatically funded. And that just simply means that you pay the cost of funds until the date that you want to pay it off completely, and then all the rest of the cost of funds are waived. But I don't know of anything like that.
All right. And then another is I heard of some MCA companies paying 10 to 15 points on a loan. Is this factual?
Let me just tell you how this works. We get the very best pay out there, and 15% is all bait and switch. What that means is that basically most of these groups out here that are recruiting you in, you're going to wind up probably 75% of the time submitting that deal to them, and that deal is going to, one or two things going to happen. They're going to really gouge them with even more money and on top so they can cover the 10%. But more than that, they're going to put you in a situation where they're going to call and they're going to say, hey, we can't help you, we're not going to be able to fund this. And then on the other side of the wall, because I've been into their shops before. They've got a call center there, and they said, these are ones we couldn't fund. Let's see if we can call them. So they call them back and say, I'm the funder. We can drop it 12 points. And they don't have to pay a commission, don't have to do anything. They just drop it completely. So when you're out there, if you're going to go work with all those companies, you're probably going to get, you won't be in the business of the industry very long, because you're going to submit your deals. None of them's going to get funded because they're going to steal them from you. There are a couple of really good ones, but like On Deck, you can't get a contract with On Deck. They're not accepting new people. I get calls all the time from ISOs all over America wanting to use us just for On Deck, and we're not going to do that. We're not going to put our reputation in jeopardy because they want to submit business and make it. But yeah, they're going to be a lot of offers. I get one every day. I got one today of 20%, and I'm going to call them and say that's all bogus. You know that, I know that. So tell me what the real commission is. So well, we'll start you out at 6 or 8, and then we'll let you move up. I said, well, we don't move up. We're either going to be at the top, and so you got to be careful who you decide to go in business with. I think DAC with 20 different lenders is your best, and it's really more than that, but it's your very best option, and you're going to get the very best offer. We guarantee it. Is that it?
Awesome, Wade. Yep, that's all we've got for questions.
Okay, we're going to close now, and I hope you guys have a great rest of the week. We've got a merchant services at 11:30 tomorrow, and then of course our weekly recap on Friday at 11:30 with Dave.